Doesn't it go red?
There
it is, we're red.
We are live here at Inc. 5000. Frank Gruber from Tech.co. I'm here with Mel Robbins, and we're really excited to have you here. You just gave a great talk this morning. It was at the Chase Inc. Networking breakfast with. It was basically all women entrepreneurs.
Yep.
They basically were beating down the door to be there today.
It was like a big sale.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome, and obviously really insightful stuff that you shared with everyone. And you've got your really famous TED Talk out there. That's how many views has it got now?
We're getting up to 8 million. I mean, it's been amazing.
Wow, that's amazing. And you've got some new stuff coming up. But I first wanted to talk about your first book, which came out a few years back.
Yes. There's always one person that's read it, thank God.
It was very inspirational and very motivational for people just to take action, right?
Yep.
So, and then your second book, which just came out, is called The 5-Second Rule.
Yes.
And that talks about some of the stuff that's in the first book too. So, but the one thing that really stuck in my mind was, the snooze button. So I want to talk about the snooze button, what that represents in people's lives.
Okay, so first of all, let me just go on the record and say I personally love to sleep in.
So do I.
I hate getting up early.
Right.
I hate getting out of bed.
Yeah.
I actually have a little bit of a, I'm one of those people that I love a great mattress.
Oh yeah.
Nice sheets.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Good thread
when
count.
I tell you I hate to get up, I mean it. Okay? So the snooze button, there's a bunch of aspects to this. Number one, the way that I found the 5-second rule, which is my secret weapon, it's what I kind of refer to in the TED Talk, it's what the book is about.
Yeah.
It sounds really stupid, but there's a tremendous amount of science behind this thing, and it's the idea that you make decisions within 5 seconds.
Right.
And all too often our decisions are driven by habits, fear, self-doubt, procrastination.
Right.
In order to change, you actually change by making different decisions 5 seconds at a time. That's how you do it. There is no other way. So the way the snooze button comes in is that it's actually the reason why I created the 5-second rule. I was trying to beat my habit of hitting the snooze button.
Right.
And
which everyone has that habit, right?
apparently 65% of adults hit it.
Wow. Yeah.
Doubt it, because let's face it, when you wake up in the morning, if you've got a big day ahead of you, a lot of times you don't feel like getting up. You feel like pulling the covers over your head.
Yeah.
So it becomes instinctive. Successful. You have to wake up and be present and be intentional about your actions. The snooze button is an impulse emotional decision. So here's the other thing about snooze that I covered this morning that a lot of people don't know. I certainly didn't know this until I researched my latest book.
Right.
When you hit the snooze button, you're actually ruining your productivity for the first 4 hours of the day. Did you know that?
No. Tell me, why? How do you, so it's a big decision you're making, you don't even know it.
You're not, yes. You didn't know that?
No, I did not know that.
I didn't either. So I learned this about 6 months ago. So
Wow.
here's the deal. There's something that psychologists call sleep inertia. You can Google it. You can read all about it. Sleep inertia basically means your brain is really groggy and it can't crisply think or process.
So basically before coffee is what that's meaning.
Yes, but here's what the snooze alarm does. So when you're sleeping, you sleep in cycles of 75-minute loops.
Right.
You fall asleep.
Yep.
Sleep for 75 seconds over and over, or 75 minutes over and over and over again. 2 hours before you're about to wake up, Frank, your body stops sleep cycles and it starts to slowly get ready to wake up.
Right.
If your alarm rings and you then hit the snooze, guess what you do? You fall back into a 75-minute sleep cycle.
So you got to sleep another 75 minutes just to get through it.
Bingo.
Right.
And here's what happens. When your alarm rings 15 minutes later, 9 minutes later,
You're
30
like,
minutes later, you're in the middle of a sleep cycle.
Yeah.
Physiologically, neurologically, the cortical region of your brain can't wake up. It's in the middle of this process.
Right.
It takes your brain 4 hours, if you do that, to actually come back to prime functioning.
Wow.
So if you wake up in the morning and you're really groggy, you wake up in the morning, you feel like you haven't gotten enough sleep, you actually have gotten plenty of sleep. You screwed yourself over by hitting the snooze button. And now your brain is trying to shake loose of the sleep cycle.
Wow, yeah.
You're not going to be as productive. I don't care how much coffee you drink.
So don't hit snooze. Just keep going. Get up. Get
listen,
going.
It stinks.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it really stinks.
No one wants to do that.
I hate this advice.
Right.
And following it has actually changed my life.
Right.
Because I no longer hit the snooze button. I no longer wake up and have really put a damper on the first 4 hours.
Right.
I wake up, I bite the bullet, I rip off the Band-Aid, I get the day started, it really stinks for about 5 seconds.
And then you're good.
And then you're moving.
Right. So let's talk about that, your morning routine. Like
Yes.
if you're saying don't snooze, what do? You got to get up and, like you just said,
Okay,
take action.
you know, and it's funny because in talking about this stuff, it's the most elementary stuff, but building a business is about the nuts and bolts. Building a
Right.
business is about a process that you find that's successful, that
Right.
you repeat, and
Yeah.
that you build on.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, for every entrepreneur that feels like he or she is constantly working in the business, not on the business. If you're the kind of person who feels like you're never in control of your schedule, that you can't find the time, that your day gets away from you,
Right.
you have one problem. And the problem is how you wake up
Right.
and how you spend the first 30 minutes of your day.
Okay. So how do you spend the first 30 minutes?
How do I?
Yeah. What would be the best situation?
Okay,
for
well, I'll
you to
tell you
maximize
exactly what I'm gonna
productivity
do.
And keep things going.
I'm going to give you a rule, and this
Okay.
is going to be impossible for you to follow. I can
What-
tell,
what
because
is
you're
it?
in the media business.
Right. So what is it?
You cannot look at your phone.
Oh, jeez.
You cannot look at your phone
Oh,
until
man.
you've planned your own day.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
Frank, if you look, what's on your phone?
Everything.
Like what?
Well, my entire life.
Yes.
My schedule, my
But
everything.
while you're sleeping,
Yeah.
what has come in on email?
Oh, email. Yeah, definitely.
But what? What kind of email?
Who knows? Like, that's the thing. It's like a surprise.
See? Boom. He just did it.
Yeah.
Frank is an example of what psychologists
Yeah.
call random rewards.
Right. It could be something amazing. Or,
Ooh,
yeah,
oh,
oh my
who
God,
knows?
this is
Oh my
fun.
God.
Yeah, and then all the social on top of it.
Oh,
Wow. Yeah, this could be
Amazing.
Right. Yeah.
But see, here's the problem.
Yeah, right.
You woke up
Yeah.
and you basically pulled a slot machine. That's what random rewards are. You are thinking you might get a reward, which is
Right.
why you pull it again. That's why you pick
Yeah.
up your phone.
Right.
Because there might be something good. That's why you look at social media. There
Little
might
shot of it,
You actually get dopamine.
Right, dopamine, right. A little shot of dopamine with that little,
Yes.
someone liked my thing.
Here's
Woo!
the problem.
What?
You've done that for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You haven't even thought about what's important to you today.
Right.
So-
So you're pushing that down your schedule.
Down. It's like at the bottom. There's a simple reason why you can't find the time, why it's so hard to get control of your day. It's
Yeah.
because you fill up the first 30.
With crap.
Yeah, here, let me show you something. I'm not mic'd, right? Hold on a
No, you're
second.
not
Let me show you something.
Okay.
So,
Come back.
I will, I'm gonna come back. So, like if this is your brain,
Yeah.
okay, hold this real quick.
Okay. Yeah. Is this liquor? Or
That's
what?
liquor.
Okay.
Liquor. It's not liquor.
Okay.
Okay. So if
Right.
that's your
This
brain,
is
so
totally
Frank,
shocking.
when you
This is
wake up,
Yeah.
right?
Is this
Here's your
water?
brain.
Or is
It's essentially your brain is essentially empty when you
Yeah.
wake up. Do you know the reason why you sleep?
To get rest. I don't.
Yes.
Revitalize. It's like a battery.
Yes,
battery
but there's
charge.
actually a more important reason. Half your brain shuts down, and the other half, it's like a gigantic library.
Oh.
It's filing all of
Everything
your
away.
memories for the
Reorganizing.
day
Yeah,
and
it's like a
reorganizing
computer.
it so you can remember things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So when you wake up, your mind is ready to start processing.
Right.
If you grab your phone,
There you
this
go.
is what you're doing to your
Right.
mind.
Don't use
Right
the
there.
phone or-
Right there.
Yeah. That's yeah.
So now you're starting your day and you're already overwhelmed. You've just looked at cat videos. You're
Yep.
super excited. You've gotten random rewards. You haven't thought
Yeah.
once about the thing
Right.
that's actually important to you. You haven't started thinking about your business and what you need to do to grow your business.
And you just went through all your water too.
Yeah, your brain is actually maxed
Yeah,
out
yeah.
before you even have breakfast.
Wow.
This explains, by the way, why you run around feeling overwhelmed.
Right.
This explains why.
Fills it up with all this stuff. Yeah.
So you got to claw out. If your business is important,
Yeah.
then it deserves the first 30 minutes of the day.
Right.
Before you look at
Somebody
it.
help
No,
us.
I can put it
You
down.
gonna
It's
drink
okay.
it? Okay.
I could take a sip
Yeah.
of it, but
Okay. That's amazing. Great analogy there.
But
Yeah.
can do you see what it makes common sense? But when you also start to think about it from a neurological perspective,
Yeah.
the best 2 hours of the best 2 hours for your brain are the first 2 hours of the day. This is research from Dan Araby.
Okay. Yep.
So you
So
can watch
get up
this
and do your thing, right?
Well,
For 2 hours.
not for 2 hours because I don't have 2 hours. Do you have 2 hours?
No, I don't.
No.
not in the morning.
And if you can't find 30 minutes,
Right.
find 10.
Okay.
Find 5.
Right.
Find and fight for.
So you're saying focus on that stuff that you care about at that window.
You have to plan your day. 2 things a day.
Yeah.
Just hit 2 things a day
Okay.
that are important to you.
Because everyone makes their to-do list and it's 1,000 things, right?
No
just
to-do list.
two.
You're making a priority list.
Priorities are your day. Okay.
You got to write them down.
Mm-hmm.
Write them down wherever you're going to see them.
Right.
Post-it note on the back of the phone. I've got a cheapo planner from Snooze. The problem.
Yeah. because then they're all in there, and then you look at the social, and then you look at the more you're addicted to that stuff.
That's exactly right. So you should use a Post-it. And the reason why you should use a Post-it is because if you then put your Post-it on the back of your phone, you're going to see it all day long. But you don't have to actually open your phone to see your list.
Gotcha.
So you're going to stalk yourself with your priorities.
Cool.
Then you can do your random rewards.
Someone just said hello from Alaska.
Hello, Alaska.
Hello, Alaska.
Then you can do then you can look at social. Then you can look at email. Then you can respond to stuff.
Cool.
Because if you think about the emails that come in at night, it's newsletters, people that want you to buy stuff.
Right.
It's people that work for you that are trying to pass things back to you.
More to-dos.
Yes. It's things that are not priorities for you.
Right.
And now you've suddenly taken everybody else's stuff and made it the most important thing to you, and that's stupid.
Wow.
I'm not calling you stupid.
No,
I'm saying that
I
action is
smarter, you know.
You're a very smart guy. I keep wanting to call you FJ though. So
that's that was my name.
Yes, Frank is a number 5 in his family.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I went by FJ, but then eventually, like, the world turned me into Frank. So that's how it kind of worked.
You're a good Frank.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
You don't see a lot of Frank. So I want to talk a little bit about. So we talked about getting going in the morning, but I want to bring it back to that 5-second rule, but really about why you do it and how you get what you want. Like, because ultimately it's about getting what you want, right? Like in life, and in business and everything else. And you've got an interesting philosophy about that, and it ties into that 5-second rule.
Well, my philosophy about getting what you want is, first of all, you've got to actually be willing to listen to yourself.
Right.
And the way that you get what you want and the way that you build the confidence and the courage and the discipline and the productivity to get what you want is you have to start honoring those instincts that are telling you what you want
we block
with action.
Right, yeah. I mean, you block it, right?
You're not going to get what you want if you're up here.
Right.
The only way.
I think you're right. Like with that, let's think of something that somebody wants to do. Like, let's say I want to.
What do you want to do in your business?
Well, let's just talk about something outside of business. It's more fun.
Okay.
What if I wanted to be a rock star?
Okay, you mean like play a musician?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not saying I do. What if that's an analogy?
Well, if that's something that somebody wants to do, then first of all, thinking about it, not going to get it done.
Right.
Following people on social media, that doesn't do it for you. I mean, those are things that can help inspire you, but those small steps don't actually mimic what a rock star does. You need to play your instrument.
Right.
You need to go down like Ed Sheeran. Do you know how he got started?
No.
At the age 15, he went out into parking lots in London playing for free. 15 years old, just playing. That's how Taylor Swift started too.
10,000 hours there, right? Like right before.
Malcolm Gladwell in Outliers has this theory that you can practice 10,000 hours and become an expert at anything.
Do you believe in it?
Yes, and there's an important qualifier.
Yeah.
There's new research out about the type of practice matters.
So not
it's
garbage
called
practice.
Town Square.
Yep.
And you're playing your
Jamming
guitar,
away.
right? Jamming away because you want to be a rock star. And by the way, that's how everybody
Yeah,
starts.
it's good audience.
They start playing.
Yeah.
Because you're not ready for the big stage.
Right.
But if you go out every day, morning,
Captive
noon,
audience
night,
walking by. They're
you
going to
play,
walk by.
you watch them walk by.
Yeah.
That practice actually helps you be able to keep going on a stage when you see people get up
and walk by.
I'm
right.
dead
No, you're
serious.
right. Yeah, it's going to happen.
So the thing is that there's this concept in psychology called deliberate practice. Kobe Bryant is an incredible example of this.
Yep.
So Kobe did not start out as a remarkable phenom of a player.
Right.
He actually was kind of a failure in high school. And so he started studying Michael Jordan.
Oh, there you go.
And he would then get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go and practice. And then he would get his buddies to show up and practice with him. He was very deliberate about practicing to improve. That's the hook.
So we're talking about practice.
Practice not for the sake of being busy.
I know.
Practice for the sake of improving.
Got it. It's a very deliberate way of
Very and also asking for feedback and being willing to look at the gap. And so you can do that in any area of your life. You can get in better shape. You can run a faster
Are you saying
mile.
I'm out of shape? Or?
No, I actually was sitting up myself because I started to notice that I was slouching and I felt that right here.
Tough, right?
And I was Spanx on today.
These are tough chairs for
Yes,
sitting.
a little bit.
I'll try to sit up a little bit.
Does that make sense though?
No, it totally does. Yeah,
because there's one thing to show up and practice your guitar. There's another thing to
it's
show
like checking
up.
a box versus actually doing it and being engaged.
Bingo.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
It's super important for people to realize the difference. All right, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about how you turn your idea into action. Because we've got a lot of entrepreneurs following along here, business owners. Everyone has ideas, right?
Right.
How do you take that and turn it into action when it goes by, right? Like you've got that, let's talk about that 5 second rule.
Okay, so the second you have an instinct, not an impulse.
Yeah.
Impulsive behavior is emotionally driven stuff.
Right.
This is an instinct that's tied to something that you want to do. So
Right.
let's say that you're interested in, oh, I don't know, maybe you have a B2B platform and now you want to see if there's a B2C application for what it is that
Right.
you're doing.
Yep.
And you know that there are 2 or 3 players in your industry that have made the turn successfully. So if you have an instinct that, oh, I need to kind of focus on that person. First of all, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, write it down.
Right.
Thinking about it isn't enough.
Wait, say that again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1?
That's how you use the 5 second rule.
Okay, got it.
You count backwards to
Yeah,
yourself.
okay.
You have an instinct, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go.
Yeah, and
Okay.
here's why.
Yeah.
Because if you just start cycling thoughts,
Mhm.
you're going to get trapped in your basal ganglia.
Oh, I have a bank. What is it? A basal ganglia? What?
It's in the interior
I don't wanna
part
get
of your
trapped in
brain.
that.
No, you don't.
No
That's
one
where
wants that. Who wants
worries
that?
and
No one wants-
procrastination.
No one wants that.
Nobody
Of course
wants
not.
that.
No.
No.
Gets trapped in there.
It's just this 5 second rule is just
Yeah.
a metacognition tool.
Yeah.
Your brain tricks you. Your brain will trick you into overthinking the smallest things. If you catch yourself getting distracted, if you catch yourself worrying,
Yes.
if you catch yourself kind of thinking,
Drifting
but
off
doing
there.
nothing,
Yep.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you'll awaken your prefrontal cortex.
And then you go.
Yes, your brain is now waiting for instructions. So if you write down the note,
What you
where
want to
this
do.
comes back in is tomorrow
Yep.
in your 30 minutes.
Now you have time.
To actually
Do something.
deliberately
There you go.
start pushing yourself to take the small actions
Right.
that actually lead over time to the change you want to make.
And as you're saying that, we're getting some comments in on Facebook, and they're saying, they've listened to this and done this, and it's changed their life. So
It works. I mean, one of the reasons why I'm so confident about what I'm talking about is
Yeah.
because
yeah,
I created the 5 second rule to get out of bed and beat the snooze button when my husband's second restaurant failed and Aline hit the house.
oh wow.
And
So you've been through ups and downs.
Ups and downs, holy
Yeah,
cow.
yeah.
I mean, we were facing financial disaster. I had just shot a couple episodes of a brand new show with Fox, and they tabled the show, so I was unemployed.
Right.
And I was 41, and I was like, wait a minute, I went to Dartmouth, I went to Boston College
Yeah.
Law School, this is not
It's not what
supposed to
happened.
be
Yeah,
happening in my life.
Right.
And every morning when the alarm went off, I just wanted to pull the covers over my head. I didn't want to get up
So
and
that's procrastinating.
face the day.
Right. Stress was causing that.
Bingo.
Yeah.
So when I created this rule, I never intended to talk about it.
Right.
When I gave the TEDx talk, I didn't realize it spread around the world. So the
Right.
folks that are writing on Facebook, we've heard from 100,000 people
Wow.
in countries around the world who are
That's amazing.
using 5, 4, 3, 2, 1
Yep.
to really take control in the moment. See, the interesting thing about change, Frank,
Yep.
is that it's easy to think about changing.
Right.
Very difficult to make yourself do it.
Mm-hmm.
We think of change. You think that turning your business from a B2B model and then going B2C,
Yeah.
you think you got to find 3 weeks at an offsite to do it. No.
No, let's do it today. Let's small steps, right?
You got to make 5 second decisions the moment instincts kick in. You got to get them into the physical world, and then you got to fight for the time
Right.
to work on it every day. That's the only way it happens.
Right. So the minute that crosses your mind, you write it down, you start like the next day getting at it,
Yeah.
and instead of saying, "Oh, we should plan an offsite someday that we can decide if we're ever going to think about this again," right?
Just start moving on
Just
it.
start little steps.
Little steps.
Yeah.
Little
Baby
steps.
steps to the elevator.
Absolutely. You know, it's amazing to me how many people actually have written. One of the things that we
Yeah.
hear a lot that really surprised me, I expected to hear from people that use the rule to lose weight. I
Right.
expected to hear
Yeah.
from people to lose the rule to be better in sales.
Right.
I never expected that I would hear from so many people that said that they had, for years, been thinking about sharing ideas at work.
Yeah. And never did.
And never did.
Wow.
Because they think about it,
Like,
and
"No,
then
it's not good
it's not
enough."
that great.
Right. They beat themselves up.
And
Until
then
they don't
that
do it.
becomes a habit, Frank.
Right. Now you formed a habit of not talking about stuff.
And so you can actually reverse engineer it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you can teach yourself to have a habit
That's
of
great.
being proactive about your ideas.
That's great. I love it. And that's the name of your new book.
The 5 second rule.
Right. And I've
Yeah.
actually got a copy right here.
You got one of the secret copies.
Secret copy right here.
Yes,
Look at
this
that.
is a draft.
Is it going to be white and black, or is this just because it's black and white because it's draft?
It was cheaper to do it this way. It's also a little bit bigger.
It's very simple. It gets the point across.
Well,
so-
this is very hard for me to release because
Yeah.
it's actually not perfect.
Oh, okay. So it's got some things you need to.
Tons of mistakes.
Okay.
changed up the book a ton, but no, it's actually got a lot of these rays coming out, like it's almost very like subconsciously religious cool, and then gold, kind of the 5 second rule, and it's pretty
very cool. Well, I'm excited to read it.
I'm excited.
So take that back soon. One more thing, or actually 2 more things I want to talk to you about. So number one was, you've talked about this morning, and I actually talk about this a lot in my book, Start with Mixology. It's about celebrating, and I actually talk about using celebration as a motivational tool, especially in a business, because it's a dark up and down. You talk about some things that have happened to you that happens all the time, right, up and down. So using it as a milestone and saying, hey, here's what we're doing, we're going to celebrate when this happens. But what happens after celebration? You talked about that today.
Yeah, I was saying to everybody that's won the award of being at the Inc. 5000, okay, congratulations, now get back to work.
Right, don't mess around.
I think you're right. You have to stop and celebrate. It's particularly important for the people that work for you and for your family to feel included in that stopping and having the savoring moment.
Right.
But for me, this is the interesting thing. I can't remember if I've said this with you or not on camera, but every phase of your business is going to require a different you.
You never said that. No, that's new.
Well, thank you.
Heard it here first.
Heard it here first. Every phase of your business is going to require a different you.
Different you.
And so
as
when
you learn and shift
and whatever it is that got you to this point of celebrating will not get you to the next celebration. Same is true in a marriage. Same is true as a parent.
Yeah, like just in general.
Absolutely. And so I think that the more that you stop and celebrate, absolutely, and take that time. And then start to ask yourself the question of, well, what is it that's next for me that will actually make me feel even more satisfied?
Right. Let's search for that next thing.
Yeah, and it's not about not being satisfied. I think it's more about, just like the world is constantly tweaking itself and changing, you can tinker like that in your business in order to remain engaged and satisfied, but it will require you to change.
Right. No, that makes sense. I love it. All right, so one more thing.
Yeah.
If you had to take a look back 10 years ago and you look at yourself, what's the one piece of advice that you wish you could have given yourself as you've gone through this journey?
I think it's like a combination of, you got this, and it'll all work out. There's this, I think there really is a 10-year window behind every overnight success story.
Oh, I agree, yeah, definitely.
And if you can have faith and stop listening to everyone around you and start listening to yourself and have the courage to marry it with action, it will work out. It may not happen in the time that you think it will. It may not, certainly has never happened in the past.
It's not the straight, direct path that you'd planned perfectly.
But it will happen.
Right.
But you gotta tune in, and you gotta listen, and you gotta trust yourself enough to marry that instinct with action.
Well, I really appreciate you being here today.
Frank, FJ, you're awesome.
Thanks so much. Mel Robbins here with Frank Gruber from Tech.co. We're here at the Inc. 5000. And we're talking about how to change your life and business and keep it rolling here. Brought to you by Chasing. So thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be posting this out everywhere because it's great inspiration and great knowledge from a great person. So thank you so much.
I'm a huge fan of yours.
Thank you.